All right, how's it going, everyone? My name is Amos, and I just took a shower. My face is still a little wet, hair is still wet as well, but I wanted to talk to you about Motherless Brooklyn by Jonathan Lethem. I just finished reading this book, and I want to tell you my thoughts and opinions before I forget. And by the way, I have my notes in front of me. That way I don't lose my train of thought. So the book itself, the genre is mystery, crime, and a detective story, but it's not your typical detective story, if that makes sense, because the main character, it revolves around this guy named Lionel, and he has Tourette's syndrome. And a secondary character, this is a hot take, but it's the setting of the book itself, which is the 1990s New York. That gritty, with all of the various colorful personalities in that Brooklyn neighborhood. But I think what makes the story kind of interesting is because the main detective has Tourette's syndrome, his outbursts and his tics, and the way that he perceives and understands the world, it makes the story kind of funny, but also at the same time, you can kind of relate to him. Whether or not you have Tourette's, it doesn't matter. You see his way of thinking and you're like, you know what? I don't blame him. I don't judge him. Now, without giving any spoilers away, Lionel works for a detective agency that basically recruits the kids from an orphanage. And obviously, it's the orphanage that he's from. So the whole setup, it kind of reminds me of John Wick. Except in his world, in that universe, that orphanage trains assassins. But in this world, Motherless Brooklyn, I guess that's why the title is Motherless Brooklyn. I guess it makes sense. Now, throughout the book itself, Lionel solves little crimes here and there, but there's a really big murder mystery that he's trying to solve. And I feel like for a lot of people, you might be able to know right away who did it. But the whole point is not trying to figure out who committed the crime, but rather it's us understanding and sympathizing with Lionel as he grows up. Because I think he's a teenager. I kind of forget how old he is. He's not that old. And so it's a coming of age story. But at the same time, I wouldn't recommend this book to a younger audience necessarily because the language is 1990s New York. So it's very vulgar. And there is one bedroom scene, but it doesn't make the whole book about that bedroom scene, if that makes sense. It's literally a couple pages and then it's over. So for me, I was able to overcome my distaste and displeasure when books make it all about the bedroom scenes. Then I'm like, dude, what am I reading here, man? But all in all, if you're looking for a very fast-paced, easy read, I think Motherless Brooklyn is not a bad choice. I'm not going to say it's good either. Overall, I would give it like a 6 out of 10. And if we're thinking about Amazon, then like a 3.5 out of 5. I think the language itself, super simple. The author, Jonathan, he uses like everyday language, a lot of slang, and it feels like a movie, like you're talking to someone. It doesn't feel like a sophisticated and dense literature, if that makes sense, like some of the older classic English novels. This one definitely is a book that should be up my alley. However, it was a little boring, a little dry. And that's why I can't say it's a 5 out of 5 or 4.5 out of 5 with an honest look on my face and be like, yeah, it was so great. It was a little boring. However, it goes really fast. Now, come to find out, there's a movie adaptation of this novel, and to be fully transparent, probably not gonna watch it. I don't want to sound too pessimistic and negative because I did like the book. It's just not a must read, if that makes sense. It's just one of those like, okay, it's pretty average, pretty cool. Have you read Motherless Brooklyn? If you have, let me know. Other than that, I will talk to you guys next time. See ya.